Hi, welcome to Manas Shil YouTube channel. Before we start, kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you. Let's start the video. If you haven't watched the previous video, I'll link it in the description box, or you can click here. Chapter 3. Reminiscences of the Clowns. Reborn of Seraphims. Since then, many things had happened. Securing the dominant territory. The war against humans and demi-humans was fierce, but she overcame persecution and emerged as Curse Lord Kazarium. He was recognized as one of the demon lords and steadily expanded his power. He recommended Carrion, the Beast Master, and Free, the Sky Queen, as demon lords, and formed a powerful alliance with them. Everything was going well. So much so that he didn't realize that he had grown complacent. Kagali next set her sights on an up-and-coming man named Leon. The plan was to teach Leon, who called himself a demon lord in the middle of nowhere, a lesson in humility, and bring him under control. The moment she saw him, Kagali felt a pang of jealousy. This man who called himself a demon lord, Leon, was too beautiful. She had become disfigured by her demon father, the king. She had been deprived of her gender, and had been struggling to live. The appearance of Leon, who was a man, yet more beautiful than a woman, slowed down her thinking, and Kagali made the great mistake of misjudging her opponent's strength. Kagali lost her body to Leon's blow, and was forced to wander around with only her spiritual body. It was a miracle that she did not disappear. She had a grudge. But more than that, she had a desire. So Kagali clung to life. Using what little power she had left as the Curse Lord, she took the time to prepare for her own resurrection. Then, in a daze, she made one last summoning attempt, unconsciously failing to take over. Her plan failed, and she gained no flesh. The rest was destroyed. Help me. Save me. I don't want to be taken from you. All I want is to live happily with my friends, but why am I alone in this? She lamented her misfortune and asked for help, but no one answered her. Kagali was not alone, but no one helped her. It was a journey of hardship. Ideals were far away, and Kagali was the leader of the pack. There was no room for whining, and she had to always look forward. So Kagali had given up hope of being saved. The only people she could trust were herself and her beloved friends. That is how she had lived her life. But that boy, Yuki Kagurazaka, he... All right. You seem to be tired, so rest inside me for now. Yuki Kagurazaka reached out to Kagali, who had tried to take his life, and to whom no one had ever saved. A few years later, Kagali spent the next few years resting inside Yuki, consulting and advising him. It was fortunate that the unique skill schemer was a skill that could be used by souls alone, but there were still many troublesome opponents. In particular, a girl named Maribel Rosso was extremely troublesome. Yuki was a genius strategist, and Kagali was confident in his own intelligence. But even with cooperation and scheming of these two, it was extremely difficult to outsmart Maribel. They were outmatched in every aspect, including financial and human resources. Even if they gained an organization to free themselves, Maribel would grasp the right to free it. I'll kill her. If we don't get rid of her someday, our plan will fail. I'm sure of it. That demon in a girl's skin is the biggest obstacle for us. A battle in the economic sphere cannot be won or lost based on simple combat ability alone. She was a child, but was still like that. When Maribel grew up and became an adult, they would not be able to compete with in every aspect. A few years had passed since the two of them had made such a decision, and a time for change had arrived. The birth of the mysterious slime, Demon Lord Rimura, was not it. Kagali, who had been inside Yuki, had finally taken on the body of a homunculus. Yuki had kept his promise. Moreover, this is my original form. Yuki's kindness made Kagali so happy that she wanted to cry, but she kept a cool expression on her face. She tried to maintain her masculine tone, but Lapis stopped her. He was pretending to be teasing Kagali, but was actually really looking out for her. I appreciate it, boss. Kagali thanked him from the bottom of her heart. Now that she had a physical body, Kagali could look forward to delicious meals and desserts. The cream puffs were especially delicious. Spending a happy time with friends, laughing. How happy they were. However, that happiness did not last long. Clayman was dead. With the loss of another precious friend, Kagali and the others realized once again. For the sake of their own happiness, they must conquer the world. To become the rulers of this world and lead it correctly. Stupid, arrogant, and cute Clayman. I'm sorry you had to go through that. Rest now and watch over us. We will make our ambitions come true. Kagali and the others were not on the side of justice, but they were not evil either. They were moderate. That is why they should be able to create a world where everyone can live happily. Believing this, they continued their activities. They defeated Maribel, were exposed by Demon Lord Rimuru, escaped to the Empire, and was taken over by Lieutenant Kondu. Even Yuki was also taken over. Kagali's heart was about to break, but she could not give up now. I swear I will not betray you. And I will accept your dominion. The contract must be fulfilled, and the benefits received must be returned. So Kagali was willing to use any means necessary. And so, Kagali wakes up. Leaving behind the fragile body of a homunculus, and regaining the body of undead elf, she was stronger and more beautiful than when he was Demon Lord Kazarium. Thus, 9 undead elves were born. But this was only the beginning. When Kagali finally awoke, she saw Feldway and the others had brought Velzard back. Michael intended to take the dragon factor from Velzard for further evolution, but before that, he used the army of angels, Armageddon, to implant in Kagali and the others. She was determined not to compromise. The 7 seraphim were successfully summoned. Those who were willing to incarnate were selected from those who were not former angels. Kagali was naturally chosen as one of them. The others were Tyr, Footman, Vega, Orca Arya, Arios, and Myfiruki. Their bodies were reborn as the tremendous powers clashed within their body. Thus Kagali and the others, with the exception of Vega, were reborn as Imton, heavenly, spirits. And so it was that 5 months had passed since Kagali had arrived at the Heavenly Star Palace. A vast heavenly castle. Chalk pillars lined up in the audience hall. The hall was filled with a divine atmosphere. Angels with pure white wings filled the hall. They were still without bodies, but were waiting for the time to invade the earth. Because they had no will, they did not move at all, and because they were as unsteady as sculptures, it created a solemn atmosphere in the audience hall. In the front row, chairs were lined up, and those who stood out from the rest sat in a circle. They were Kagali and the others who had been reborn. They were much more powerful compared to before, and their presence was much stronger. Michael was about to wake up, so they were called. When Kagali reawakened with the seraphim in her body, Michael was still asleep. However, he had not shown up yet, and it seemed that he was behind schedule. Kagali, who had time to spare, turned her attention to the angels. She was told that there was no limit to the number of angels that could be summoned at once, but there was a limit to the total amount of energy. Normally, it would be an army of 1,000,000, but this time there were 7 seraphim summoned, so the number itself was not large. However, the quality was high. The group was composed only of angels of intermediate level and above, with no low-level angels of any kind. The approximate numbers were 1,000 Dominion angels, 3,000 Virtue angels, and 6,000 Power angels. Angels that had not incarnated could not display their full power. But even so, even the fighting ability of the Power angels was over rank. The limit of activity was 7 days, but it was enough strength to scorch the earth. But the demon lords would be able to handle it. That's what Kagali thought. It's not enough. With only this much, it's going to be difficult to take out any of the forces. Kagali's murmur echoed in the silent hall. Although she hadn't been expecting an answer, she got one. Well, I didn't have any subordinates, but everyone else had strong ones. To be honest, I doubt if I can defeat one of the 8 stars, Octogram. Kagali turned to look at the speaker. I never thought I'd agree with you. Oh, by the way, Dino. I never knew you worked for Feldway-sama, so do you? Kagali whispered quietly. Dino replied matter-of-factly. I can't tell you that. I'm a watcher. The whole point is to keep a low profile. And while I'm at it, let me correct your mistake. I am a former associate of Feldway's, not a subordinate. Dino had infiltrated the Octogram, and was working as a watcher. His purpose was to monitor the earth. Dino, Pico, and Gracia, the 3 fallen angels, were sent on a special mission to investigate the human world. By the will of Valdanava, they were charged with monitoring the human race, so that it would not be destroyed. The role of the demon lords, led by Guy, was to rebuke the human race when it grew too much. And to prevent demon lords from going too far, the chosen hero existed as a deterrent. It was Dino's role to investigate whether the causal relationship between demon lords and heroes was working properly. While Dino attracted attention with his prominent position as a demon lord, Pico and Gracia conducted their investigation without falling into the spotlight. It was also Dino's hidden role to create a cover-up to make it easier for those 2 to move about. However, now that Valdanava has not returned, there was no one to report to. Therefore, Dino had been enjoying his free life as a demon lord. Dino had no intention of hiding that fact as he was openly talking about it. Kagali wondered why he was even here then. Perhaps it showed on her face, so Gracia answered with a smile. He owes Feldway a lot of money, so he can't say no when asked. Pico followed suit. But he can't go back to Demon Lord Rimuru, so he's decided to follow Michael-sama. No way, Kagali thought. Well, I guess that's it. Dino nodded. Kagali didn't believe he was following Michael for that reason, but it was ridiculous, and Kagali agreed that it was typical of Dino. Kagali changed her mind. So, what was Demon Lord Rimuru like? I have a grudge against him for killing Clayman, and I'd like to avenge him, if I get a chance. That was a lie. In reality, she had no grudge against Demon Lord Rimuru. There was no doubt that they shared a history with each other. However, he had formed an alliance with Yuki, and even if they were to become enemies again, he was still an interesting presence. The one to blame for Clayman's death would be Lieutenant Kondu, who had controlled him, and Michael, who had controlled even Kondu. Kagali calmly understood this, but she was not foolish enough to say it. Dino answered Kagali's question without going any deeper. Even his subordinates are troublesome, especially that Sijin guy. In the last mission, Dino's role was to neutralize the labyrinthine forces. Specifically, his mission was to kidnap or eliminate Rammers. Dino claims to have come close to succeeding, but the reality is that he failed. The reason, he says, is that he was interrupted by Zijin, a powerful magician. Is he that strong? He's not just strong. It was a level that was seriously insane. Rumor has it, he's the strongest of the dungeon's elite 10, so he's stronger than me at the least. Dino affirmed. He was tired from the long series of battles, and had underestimated his opponent a little. Zijin, on the other hand, did not even take Dino seriously, and played him lightly. Dino's true feelings were that he didn't want to be a sore loser. That's a weak thing to say. You can just crush him. Don't worry, I'll crush him myself. Vega boasted. It must be nice to be so stupid. Dino thought, but didn't say it out loud. There was no point in saying anything. Vega is still the same. Like this, even if he has the power, we might not be able to use him, effectively. Kagali sighed in exasperation. It was all well and good to be confident in your own strength, but it's no use if you lack the most important sense in battle. It was the ability to grasp the difference in strength between you and your opponent. Facing an unbeatable opponent will only result in losing strength unnecessarily. Pico and Gracia seemed to understand this and frowned in displeasure. They didn't say anything, probably because they were not close to Vega and realized that there was no point in advising him. That appeared to be the end of the conversation. Well, if you guys see a bug-shaped insector in the labyrinth, be careful, okay? The beetle type is Zijin, but a pedo, the bee type, is dangerous too. Zelanis took a bite out of Dino's casual remark, which was about to conclude the conversation. A beetle type and bee type. Tell me more. Dino was pressured by the tremendous spirit. And, unintentionally, he disclosed as much information as he knew, though not much. Oh? Well, I heard that they protected Rimuru before he became a demon lord. Zelanis was silent as he listened. Dino's story was over, and an awkward silence was hanging in the air. Give me some kind of a response. Dino thought that Zelanis was intimidating. Since he didn't want to talk to Zelanis, he decided to change the subject and cover up the situation. Anyway, that's it. In Ramras's labyrinth, the defenders have a complete advantage. There are many strong players like Zijin in there, so you should consider that it will be very difficult to defeat them. With that, Dino ended the conversation. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoy it.